Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Nintendo Review Podcast. I'm Darren Bolton, and as always, I'm joined by Greg. How you doing, Greg?
I'm actually doing really good.
You seem really happy, actually. I'm looking at you now, and you look delighted.
For once. No, my wife had a scan there on Monday, and it was sort of like it was confirmed that we're definitely having another boy. So the news is all good.
The same as me. How do you feel about that?
I actually feel really chuffed. Like the boy we have is good. Like, so having another one to keep them company. That's really good news.
Keep them company to free you up, so you don't have to entertain them all the time.
Yeah, time to play some games.
Yeah, exactly. Three. You just need one more, and then you've got your Mario Kart session sorted.
Then we've got the Tim the Toolman Taylor experience.
And we're also with Lee from Taiwan. How you doing, Lee?
I'm very good, and not to break tradition, but I'm going to mention the weather again. We've just come through, because we've had wonderful weather over the last couple of weeks. We've just had a super typhoon this morning, which is early hours, like 3 o'clock in the morning. So we've had a few trees blow down in the neighbourhood.
Everyone's all right, I guess?
Yeah, fine. Just a few trees, you know. What's a few trees? They'll replant more.
It's a good attitude. But is it quite nice, quite refreshing to have a bit of rain and a bit of wind?
Yeah, lovely. The dam near us is always short of water, and it's always that kind of balance. And oh my God, we need more rain. You know, otherwise we can have a drought, and we'll be going to work without having showers, and we'll be very stinky, and the kids will be stinky, and it'll be absolute nightmare in classrooms. One typhoon has filled it up by 10%, so we're okay for another couple of months.
It's a constant riot in Taiwan, it sounds like, there, and the stinky children you have to teach. Keep on with tradition. Let's just keep the World Cup updates. So, obviously, England are playing tonight. How do you guys feel? As a Welshman and a Northern Irishman, are you anti-English, or are you more... Are you on our side?
I'm surrounded by anti-English seemingly everywhere I go here, but I've always wanted England to do well in the competitions, like, and I've been listening to the Three Lions this week, the '98 version. Unfortunately I'm working tonight, so I'm going to miss it. But I hope England make the final, because I'm free on Sunday. So yeah, good luck.
If you asked me that question when I was younger, I would have said, no, England lose. Whereas everything was Wales or nothing. But nowadays, and over here, where there's nothing about football, what's football? Nobody knows. Yes, I'll root on the boys.
Really?
It's all baseball, basketball, and nothing much else.
Oh, so it's just really American then, sort of more American sort of influence.
Kind of Japanese American.
Oh, okay, yeah, because Japanese, they love
massive baseball, yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, let's get stuck into it. Because, as always, our big mission this week is to get under 1 hour. Greg's tipping us to do it in under half an hour. So we'll see after that 5-minute intro, as I predicted. We'll see how we move on. But so we're going to go straight into the news. And there's a game that is amazing. I've had it. I own it on other platforms. And I didn't care that it was coming to Switch. Okami HD. It's coming out in August, but it's announced at $15.99, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm buying that. Have you guys played Okami? Are you excited about this?
I played on the Wii, and I'd never finished it. It kind of dragged on after about the 15-hour mark, I believe it was. It just went on and on and on, and something else came, whether it was Galaxy 2 or whatever. Something else came, attracted my attention, and I would never have bought this for the Switch, thinking, I can't, no way. $15.99, I'm with you, Darren. It's day one purchase, isn't it? Have you purchased it already? Because it is on preload now.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, are you going to join us and buying a game you're never going to play?
Unbelievably, like, I'm pretty much exactly the same as you guys. Like, as Lee said there, like, it really does drag on, and like, I remember myself taking like a break from it after maybe it was about 20 or 25 hours or something, but I did eventually go back and finish it. But I did find it just dragging on, and it's like, I'm not really sure I want to play that again. And then of course we see $15.99, and it's like, I want everything on Switch, so it's definitely tempting.
It is tempting.
So yeah, probably end up with it. Although I still have Okami Den to finish on the DS as well.
Oh yeah, the spin-off. Yeah, I mean it's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, but it just sort of shows that with third parties, if they price their games right, when they're re-releasing these games, there's a lot more people to buy it. But we'll see how that goes. See if we actually end up playing it. So the next bit of news, and I don't know if this means much to you guys. I hope it does. But the Zero Escape creator Katako Uchikoshi, is that right?
That's
Lee, you're
nice
closer.
name,
Does that sound alright?
yeah.
That'll do. But anyway, he finally revealed his newest game, and it's called AI, the Sominum Files, and it's a detective adventure title set in modern Tokyo, and I'd imagine it'll be similar in vein to his previous games. Have any of you played 999 and the Zero Escape trilogy? Do you even know what it is, Greg?
Very, very briefly had Virtue's Last Reward. I think I bought it for, it must have been about a tenner in CX. It might even have been last year, and only played the first few minutes of it, and I sort of realised I'm not really in the mood for this, so I actually took it back and got something else. So I don't know, I'm not I can't say I'm really that interested in this one at the moment.
No, that's fair enough. Lee, did you play any of them?
I only played the demo on the 3DS of the 999. Didn't get on with it and put it aside. I was always interested in getting the Zero Escape. Which was the second one on the 3DS?
Zero's Last Reward.
Virtue's Last Reward.
Virtue's Last Reward, sorry, yeah.
$9.99 that came down to in a few sales now and again, and then it seemed to be perpetually on sale, and I still didn't pick it up.
So you're not particularly excited about this?
This looks great though. Have you seen the stills for it? This does interest me in its kind of style. It's more of a detective one rather than you're stuck in a room. So there's been a series of murders, and you're investigating each murder. This one does look more up my alley.
Sorry, is this on Switch, this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly more interested.
You can't beat a murder mystery. I think it's more obviously kind of brings Phoenix Wright to mind with it, but obviously the plays quite differently. This is the games are very much the visual novels. So I don't know if you had them as a kid, where it's like go to page 53 if you want to do this.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of like a video game version of that. I loved them. I really like them. 999's the best. The first one was the best in my opinion. But I think they're really good games. So I'm very and I love a murder mystery. So this is perfect. So there's another game to look forward to, and another game to look forward to. We said this last week. We said every week there's going to be a constant announcement, a weekly announcement of new games coming out. And this week, I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, Panic Button, who did the ports of Doom, Wolfenstein, and did they do Rocket League as well?
Yeah, they did Rocket League.
Yeah, and Rocket League. They said that they're going to announce another game. I think people were thinking maybe it was going to be Wolfenstein 1 or Doom 2, the new one that's coming out, and then they announced it was Warframe, and my initial reaction was a bit disappointed because I've never heard of it, in all honesty. I was like, what? Free to play? What? And but looking into it, it looks alright, and it's got a bit of buzz about it. So it's and you can't knock more games coming. But have any of you two heard of it or even played it?
I've never heard of it.
And up to the actual announcement, I've never heard of it either. But it looking at the trailer and all that, it looked as if it had a Fortnite kind of style, but there seems to be more 4-player squads against the computer, so there doesn't seem to be so much player versus player stuff, but it does look nice. My interest is piqued.
And it's free to play, so we can all give it a go at least.
Yeah, get a group together and let's blast some AI enemies.
One thing I will say is Panic Button have been doing some magic on the Switch ever since the Switch was released, but playing Doom and Wolfenstein, I think you've noticed this as well, Lee, there has been a few technical issues in a couple of those games.
Yeah, Wolfenstein recently, the apart from the visuals, I've been playing it basically on handheld, and it is, compare it to Doom, and I think maybe because Doom had smaller locales, whereas Wolfenstein 2 has these big vast open landscapes in places. In handheld mode anyway, it looks rather blurred. I'm quite disappointed with how blurred it is actually. I tried once on the TV and it kind of sorts it out, but on the handheld, wow, is it a blur fest. Runs perfectly, except when I first loaded it up, I couldn't choose anything in the menus. The menus were completely unnavigable. Couldn't push up, couldn't push down, couldn't choose anything. So you just had to click through A, start the game, and then you start in a wheelchair. I thought, oh, I can't aim with gyro, or maybe it's because I'm in a wheelchair and I'm handicapped. So I got through the wheelchair section. Nope, still can't do it. Went on to Reddit, and someone had the same problem, and by resetting the Switch itself, it's reset it all, and now everything is fine. Yeah, strange technical problem.
That same bug was on Doom. I had that on Doom.
Yep, that happened to Doom as well. But weirdly, whenever you mentioned it on Discord about it happening in Wolfenstein, it happened exactly the same time with me. Like, I just finished like a level and was going to like pause it and save it and just turn it off, and as when I went into the pause menu, I just couldn't do anything.
But Panic Button, I don't know if this is Panic Button's upgrade to do or what, or whoever upgrades it now, but they've been pretty good at patching for future, problems and all that. Keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I'm sure it will. So, and the same with Rocket League as well. But like I said, these are, although it's weird, it's like these are like really technically advanced games, and they've done an amazing job. But these bugs just seem like really trivial, sort of like sloppy bugs, rather than because it's not to do with like in-game sort of issues. They're quite weird bugs to have, aren't they, really, Bob?
Yeah, it's not frame rate or anything. Frame rate wise, it runs smoothly as hell.
I can't wait to find out. Hopefully they'll patch it by the time I end up buying it. Anyway, so moving on. So the managing officer of Nintendo, Shinya Takahashi, he's there was obviously like a Q&A recently, and they've translated all the questions into English. And there's no northern slang in any of these answers this time, or I love. And he said that Nintendo is looking to release around 20 to 30 indie games on the system every single week. And Kimishima added, "We're currently working towards reaching 1,500 software titles developed for the Nintendo platforms using Unity." That is
scary.
An insane amount of games. Yeah, I mean, do you think, when you read this, do you go, yay, great, we've got 20, 30 indie games, or not?
I feel that so many indie games are just going to get lost in the malaise of how are they going to make money?
Yeah, same. I mean, although it feels like they've almost released that many a week already, to be honest. Every week this must be over 10.
A minimum of 10 every week, yes, definitely. Yeah, I do the eShop news and I'm typing it up, and with all the sales and all that, yeah, it's roughly around about 12 just indie releases, all the way up to 20 a week anyway, as it currently stands. Does it need to be more?
Exactly, no.
I mean, it's hard to complain about getting like a variety of stuff. Like, the more choice for people, the better, really.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is almost too much. And like, I never really, like, apart from your wee eShop updates every week on the site, like, I never really check in on the eShop to see what's there, because there's always going to be something just there that just interested me and tempted me to spend money.
So you don't even venture on?
No.
Stay away.
Yeah, I mean, and you do worry with that many as well, like the quality control of those games. Nintendo only have so many resources to check these games. So we will be getting buggier games, because obviously Nintendo quality control is pretty high, but will we get buggier games? Will we get a lot awful games kind of slipping through? Obviously, what is it, Fruit Kart Racing got released this week, and it's just, do we really want these games? I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit too judgmental. And if they're expecting, 100 million Switches sold within a few years, then maybe you need this variety of games, because there's going to be so many people. But it doesn't fill me with confidence, I'm not going to lie. Every time they speak, it was the same last week, wasn't it? Every time they speak, it's always a bit like, really?
Yeah.
Shut up, Nintendo, please. But anyway, so that is the news this week. So we've just chosen a few select pieces, and we're going to move straight into what we have been playing. So, Greg, what masterpiece on the Switch have you been playing?
You've obviously checked the notes. Well, it's been another one of those weeks where, like, sort of just been flicking between things. Like, I've progressed a bit in Mario Tennis Aces. I think I'm getting towards the end of the adventure mode in that. Wee bit of Rocket League now and again, bit of Wolfenstein. But the game I want to talk about today is not even like fully released yet. It's WarioWare Gold. I've just sort of been playing the demo of it. I love the WarioWare series. It's been a bit up and down over the years, but my first one was the the GameCube one, whatever it was called, like Mega Micro Games or whatever, and it's just such a crazy game. Just these wee split-second micro games. This has that as well, and basically you have all these different control methods in it. One mode might be like just like you just use the D-pad and the buttons, or if you've played like the Game Boy one, WarioWare Twisted, there's some tilting you can do in the 3DS one as well, or touch controls. My favourite WarioWare probably is WarioWare Touch in the DS. So basically the demo just lets you go through these 3 different types of game modes just to try it out, and it's just got that same WarioWare zaniness. They said there's over 300 micro games in it, which is quite a lot. And
are they all any of them new? Or are they all based on all the old games? Is it like a best of?
Well, when I was playing it there, I didn't notice that many that were. I didn't recognise that many from the GameCube game, for instance. But I'm sure there are. I think most of them probably are just like a best of. A few of my favourite games are probably, there was one where there's like a wee violin with wee coloured sections on it, and basically you just have to tilt the 3DS to like select where you put your hand on the violin, and then you press the A button to like strum the correct notes. That was quite a fun one. Or there's ones like just tilting the 3DS to like balance the surfer on the crest of a wave, or like a wee bit of bomb defusal with cutting wires. You'll know yourself, like if you've played WarioWare before, like the quicker it gets through that, like the more exhilarating it becomes. And I mean, most of us have probably like ditched our 3DSs for just playing the Switch, and of course there's loads of Switch games as we've just said, but
WarioWare is not one of them.
Yeah, this game definitely makes me want to play the 3DS again, because I think like I will pick this up at some point, because it seems like really fun, and as I say, it's probably a bit of a best of, so the best of WarioWare is good to me.
Yeah, I've downloaded it. I've not played my 3DS in a long time, and I charged my 3DS up and I downloaded it. I've not played it yet, but I think I might buy it as well. But it's so frustrating. but I guess in a way, if it is the best of, it's like the Switch maybe isn't as good to. Oh no, I was thinking it's got a touch screen.
Yeah, it's got the tilt.
I was going to say
the only thing you can't do is the microphone blowing stuff.
Yeah.
Are there any microphone blowing games in the demo of it?
No, I think there's just they call it MASH, which is just using the D-pad and buttons, and then twist and touch. So they didn't have any vocals in it.
Oh, amazing.
Although apparently I think in the full game you can like redub the cutscenes or something.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous.
Sorry, you can't post it to Miiverse anymore. They got rid of that, so they're fine. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When you was playing it, did you just enjoy it, or was it a constant frustration of why is this not on the Switch?
No, actually, like when I was playing it, I thought like it feels fine on the 3DS. Like once you start playing, it doesn't really matter what you're playing on. Kinda, the 3DS is probably like easier to like maneuver, like tilting and stuff, than the Switch would be. And just like the touch screen's going to work better using the stylus really than using your finger on the Switch.
Or even when it's docked, what do you do then and stuff? So.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we do get a WarioWare game on the Switch at some point. I'm happy enough that this is on 3DS.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving it a go over the next few days. So Lee, what have you been playing?
I've been playing this brutal ballet of head chopping and arm. Just like WarioWare, exactly, that kind of thing. No, it's it's a very heavy 18 rated 2D beat 'em up in the vein of Golden Axe and Final Fight. I've always liked those kind of side-scrolling beat 'em ups. Especially one of my favourite ones was Batman Returns on the SNES. This game is by Fully Illustrated, and the game is Wulverblade. Now,
that's the flash-looking game, isn't it? Though?
Yeah, they said it, but it's so well animated and fluid. The backgrounds have so much detail that even though it has this kind of flash root from the way it's been built, it is just one of the best beat 'em ups I've ever played. What does it do different? It doesn't do much different, but It's like every beat 'em up. You got 3 playable characters. You got your all-round guy. You got your powerhouse who's got little, he's very slow, and you've got a girl who's very fast and agile. Does a lot of aerial attacks. You've got modes like campaign mode where you get 3 lives, infinite restarts, checkpoints. Then you've got an arcade mode with 3 lives and only 3 continues, which is brutally difficult. And last of all, you've got an arena mode where they cut down the size of the playing area, and you have hordes of survival, infinite amounts of increasing difficulty waves coming in, and see how long you can last. Everything with online leaderboards to show your mates how much of a badass you are kicking Roman butt. Because the whole story takes place...
And are you, Lee?
Well, come online and have a look. I have finished the game. You can't play online, but there is 1 to 2 player local. So it retains that kind of local co-op arcade feel to the game. It's basically set with northern British tribes, so they've all got Scottish accent, during the Roman occupation from 120 AD. And you are basically traversing a map, and each location on the map then puts you into a certain level, and each level is varied from the other level in such a way that it never gets boring. It's the usual beat 'em up where you got 4 buttons on your Switch, your X, A, B. One is jump, double tap it, you double jump. One is attack. One is a harder attack if you pick up a certain weapon, and you can chain these all together to make combos. But not only can you beat one guy down with a combo, but you can chain it to beating another guy down with a combo, and you can end up with hundreds of hits long. These combos just go on forever and ever if you can link it in the right way, and that's the way to get the high scores in the game. But it's everything that,
Sounds amazing.
It is. It's really good. If you love beat 'em ups, this does nothing wrong. It runs perfectly smooth. It's never once did I see any slowdown. With 2 people playing simultaneously on the screen, you're surrounded by 10, 12 enemies. Their cavalry comes charging in on horses, which you have to duck and dive. They have gunners on like a mini gun shooting arrows at you, and not once was there slowdown. It runs all perfectly. Did
you play it single and multiplayer?
I did play multiplayer, and my son shouldn't have played it, but he did drop in and chop some heads off.
And it's fun for both, even on your own.
Yeah, it's fun on your own as well. It does heighten the experience when you are with 2 people. But it's got great things like you can chop a Roman's arm off. They kind of randomly chop off, but they chop off often enough. Then you can pick that arm up and use it as a projectile. Everything that's dropped you can use as a weapon, projectile, But what sets this above any other beat 'em up is the level of detail in its historical accuracy. So even as you're traversing just down the map, certain locations will pop up, and you can click on them as you're going down, and you'll be introduced to videos and text and pictures of real life locations which have been put into the game itself. So for historical immersion as well, because I'm a bit of a history buff as well, I like all that kind of Roman stuff. Wonderful. And just to cap it all off, the music is haunting cello pieces, which covers like a full atmosphere of a misty northern marsh. It reminds me of something like Johnny Greenwood would write for a movie. Absolutely beautiful music. The only negatives I could really say about it is that, just like all other beat 'em ups in the past, is its longevity. They tend to be short affairs. I suppose in one sitting, if 2 of you sat down and really hammered it, you could get through in about an hour and 20 minutes. There are 8 levels in the campaign. The levels tend to be a little bit longer than the traditional kind of final fight levels, but it's still short overall. But replayability, that's where it goes well as well. It kind of, because it's a drop-in, drop-out 2-player. So I could be playing, someone else could come in. Oh, come in, yeah, grab a controller. They can drop in, they can hack and slash for a bit, and then come back out. So much fun. Head chopping galore.
I'm absolutely. You've convinced me. I've got a gaming weekend in a couple of weeks, and I'm tempted to pick this up to play through. I love beat 'em ups.
If you love beat 'em ups, this is a no-brainer. To be honest, it's one of the best beat 'em ups I have played. I can't say good enough
Even
things
at
about
15
it.
quid?
15 quid? Yeah, I still think it's worth it. There was a sale not so long ago, and I can't remember how much it went down to then, even if it was like 12 quid or something like that, but I still think it's worth that $14.99.
Oh man, when I was growing up, like it was constantly like Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, like the amount of times we went through those games. The opportunities for local co-op's not really there at the moment for me.
That's one thing that might elevate this, is that if it had like 2-player, 3-player online, that would make it a superlative beat 'em up. But yeah, it is that local element only.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to look into it. Like I have just googled it after you mentioned it there. Just at the moment you said Golden Axe, I thought I have to see what this is. There's something about the visuals aren't really appealing to me at the moment. Maybe
really,
it's different in motion.
It is very different in motion. They got these chunky enemies, they're quite squarely built. But another thing is that Golden Axe, you could kind of walk through certain parts of it. The enemies would kind of line up and you'd just be hacking. This one is far more difficult in its way you have to attack. You constantly have to think about where you're standing in relation. Don't get yourself surrounded. You do have that kind of in Golden Axe, you have those magic that could clear the screen. You do have elements of that where you can clear the area around you at the cost of your health, but you also can call in a pack of wolves once a level, which will devour all the smaller enemies on a screen.
Awesome.
Anyway.
I know you said it's one of the best beat 'em ups you've played in a while, but you've not played Shaq Fu: A Legendary Born, have you?
I haven't. And do you like Shaq Fu, Darren?
Do you know what? I joke. In actuality, it's actually really good. It's surprisingly good. Surprisingly good game. That's ever on sale. I should buy Wulverblade and tell you if it's close to Wulverblade. I probably isn't as good as that, but it is very good. But again, really simple beat 'em up, really quick. So just when you were speaking about it, I was like, oh, it sounds like Shaq Fu. But probably a little bit better. But yeah, I'm convinced. You've convinced me. You both have. That's 2 more games to add to the list. See if I can convince you about my game. I'm sure it won't. So last week I was telling you about that. I'm really wanting to blitz my games, and I did complete Zero Drifter as I mentioned. I wanted to last week, so I did that. It did take about 3 hours. So Lee, you said you had it. So if you want a quick game, Zero Drifter is well worth picking up. It's a very fun, very simple Metroid light, but it is a good game. But the game I want to talk about is a game I don't think many people will have heard of, and if you see it on the eShop, I think you look at the art, the little tile, and I think you'll probably skip straight past it and think of it as shovelware. It's called Miles and Kilo. I presume is miles in like kilometers, maybe. I don't know. It's got no reference to the game, but it's. Did any of you ever heard of a game called Kid Trip?
Yes, I have. Never played it, but it's
Yeah.
that kind of Alex Kidd clone kind of thing, isn't it? 2D platformer.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's an on rails, although you can actually turn that off weirdly. But it's an on rails platformer where you just have to jump and fire it, kind of jump and fire through and navigate the levels. There's a sort of like a parkour style, navigating the level and avoiding enemies or killing the enemies. With it, so it's a sequel to Kid Trip, and it's about this kid called Miles, and he's got a dog called Kilo, and they're in a plane, and the plane crashes on this island, and they need to escape the island, and then you go through 5 worlds, 7 levels on each world to complete the game, and I think it's amazing. I loved Kid Trip as well. It is very simple. It feels and looks like a mobile game in all honesty, but I don't mean that in a kind of detrimental way. It's just I love platformers, and it's just the graphics are really charming. And the levels are just designed really, really tightly. In this game, it isn't an auto runner unless the dog levels are, but when you Miles the kid, it's not an auto runner. Although the best way to play it is just pushing forward and treating it like an auto runner. And in the menu, you can actually turn on an auto run feature, and I actually think that is the best way to play it. But it's just a really cute game. The levels are brilliant. It's just really fun. It does, as it gets harder. And this may not appeal to you, but I like it. It does get to a stage where you sort of have to keep playing it to memorize the levels to then complete them. They're so difficult and they're so precise and specific, and the jumps have to be so perfect that you sort of have to just get through a little bit, memorize that bit, and then die, and then get through a little bit further and die. So it's got like that kind of memory aspect to kind of how it plays out. I personally really enjoy that. But the game, I actually got it it's 50% off if you own Kid Trip, so I got it for a couple of quid. But I think the game is around about a fiver. It took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete, which doesn't scream amazing value for money, but for me, it's so much fun that it's worth it. But there is loads of replayability as well. So there's loads of there's collectibles on the level. There's a time attack mode, so you get awards for completing levels in a specific time. So you can replay it and you can get rankings as well. So like you can S rank each level. So if you like it, there's more than enough reason to keep playing through the levels to perfect them and collect everything. I actually won't do that, however much I do love the game. I just enjoyed playing through it. No, I ain't got time, so I was like, I'd rather play something different. But it's just a really cute little game, and if you like platformers, then I think for a few quid, it's well worth it. It really is worth it. I'm guessing have I convinced you to buy Miles and Kilo, the 1 hour and a half platform? That's like a mobile phone game.
You've convinced me to check it on Google, and it actually does look quite charming and fun.
Oh, it's great, and the story is mental, and the writing is really funny, and it's great. I've got a video actually that I saved on the Switch of one of the levels and how insanely difficult and precise it is. That I might put on the Instagram for Nintendo Review actually. But yeah, it's honestly it's great.
I think I might end up getting frustrated by those memory levels. I think on a few other kind of platform games like that I've gone, turn it off.
Yeah. Did you play the runner games?
Yeah, Bit Trip Runner, yes. Yeah, I didn't get far in them. As soon as the level of difficulty ramped up, when it started linking all those moves that you've learned in the past into one part, and then you've got to memorize the level or you've got no chance. Yeah, that's when I quit.
Yeah, don't bother with this then, because it sort of gets like that where you sort of have to use all the little jumps and firing enemies and memorize things. But I really liked it. Cool. So let's keep moving forward. So we have another listener question, and this is from Vileplume 2000 from the Discord server again. This actually ties in with some news as well. Nintendo recently. Again, in these the Q&A and the kind of translation, they said about the online, which is launching in September, they said they're going to be sharing a little more information very soon. And Vileplume 2000 asked a question about that. He said, with the online servers coming closer to launch, what are your thoughts on that? Do you expect any surprises, like a virtual console title or another surprise title? So, Switch Online, it is coming soon. They're going to announce it soon, and Vileplume wants to know, what do we think it's going to be, and will there be any surprises to go along with the announcement when they fully unveil it? Greg, Nintendo Online, are you excited?
I don't think excited is the word, really. I haven't really given it that much thought. Obviously we know what's coming in September, but like, kind of always thought this is going to launch with the new Smash Brothers. So I've got that big online title. Here's your reason to spend your money every month. But obviously Smash Brothers doesn't come until December. So I sort of do wonder if Nintendo have this maybe like downloadable online title or something.
Yeah, they do. Balloon Trip on the NES, and Saga on the NES, and Dr. Mario on the NES.
Exciting.
You love that NES.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, but I sort of don't really know what else they would release around that time, because obviously they do have all those NES titles that are coming. There's 20 of them. We don't know 10 of them. I don't know. Nintendo have disappointed us so many times over the years with the online service, and we keep thinking every time they release like a new device, like, right, this is going to be the time they're going to get it right, and it's like we're still living in like 2005 or something. Maybe not even up to that level yet. I don't know.
So what, you expected nothing?
I don't know. For a while I've sort of been thinking, there's going to be something else. It's going to be better than I think it is, but then like the hope is what kills you every time.
I can't see there being too many surprises game-wise. You know, the games, and they said, hey, we're going to do the NES online. I have a feeling now as well that they slowly bringing it to us so that we don't get well, players not like us, but casual players, with that term, don't get overwhelmed by too much in one go, maybe. I have a feeling, though, that those NES games, with their additional online functionality, are just going to be streamable. I don't know. There's going to be no way for us to, as long as you're paying, no way to download or own these games personally. You are just having access online to their back catalogue that have additional online functionality. I feel as if they're going to be doing a streaming service as a trial for future purposes. You know, Nintendo have promised us more content for the future, but they've done that so many times in the past that I believe this is going to end up stymied as other responses they've had, you know? That's the surprise part of it, though.
That's the surprise. It's even
There's
worse
no
than you
surprise. The surprise is there's no surprise.
It may be slightly clutching at straws here, but I mean, if you've watched any of my Nintendo Review Vault episodes, if you haven't, go and check that on YouTube. The first one I did was Super Soccer on the Super Nintendo, and for years I would have loved to see it on the Virtual Console, either on the Wii or the Wii U or anything, but I always thought it was made by Human Interactive, and as far as I'm aware they're not around anymore. So I thought there's no chance of ever seeing that game again. But then when the SNES Classic Mini was released, I'm pretty sure it was on the Japanese one.
It was, yeah.
It's called Super Formation Soccer over there. Absolutely got it. We didn't get it on ours. But the fact that it did come out there, it's like, if we do eventually see SNES titles on this online service, is there a chance we'll get to see Super Soccer with online? I mean, that would be like a dream for me.
I should imagine that most games on this is my picture of it anyway, will have that online functionality, even if it's just leaderboards, you know. So, but do you think they're going to announce SNES games before they launch the service?
How do you
SNES
mean
games, you mean?
Yeah, SNES games. Yeah, SNES games. Do you think they'll say, hey, yes, we got this, but next month we're going to start putting the SNES games on? Do you think they will do that?
No. I think it's going to be there's going to be another 5 NES games released in October or something, I don't know.
Yeah, because they've only given us a list of 10 NES games so far, with the promise of showing us what the last 10 will be at a future date, which is probably this date that's coming up soon.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than you guys, unsurprisingly. But they did mention the SNES. Originally, it said NES and SNES games with online functionality, and now they only talk about NES. But you've got to think that they're still going to be doing SNES games, which I think is incredibly exciting. And although we kind of laugh, and I know you don't like the NES, Greg, but and people who do still laugh at the fact that, oh god, we're getting Dr. Mario and Mario Brothers and Donkey Kong, and we're still getting the same old games that we've played and bought multiple times. But I actually think the online functionality is really exciting. The idea that we can play cooperatively, if they, even how soccer and tennis are, it will still be quite fun to play them online, I think, with someone. Maybe not loads, but it'll still be quite fun to play those games online and having leaderboards on Dr. Mario and stuff like that. I'm actually really excited by that, and I think, but the real excitement is kind of like what you two were saying, is when they do bring SNES games in, like playing Super Mario Kart online and Super Soccer, I guess, for you, Greg. I loved Super Soccer, but maybe I don't think it's aged as well as you do.
Darren, when do you think they're going to announce these SNES games then?
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I think they're going to say they're going to do it. There's going to be a Nintendo Direct in August, right? And they're going to announce the online service. They're going to give us the other 10. They're going to give us a sneak peek about what's to come. Maybe not everything. Will they then say SNES games are coming in 2019 or something? I'm going to say no.
I think they'll leave it for like a January Direct or something in the future.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Let us, because otherwise people will be like, oh yeah, I'm really excited about playing, Donkey Kong or whatever, but I already know I can play Super Mario World or whatever, in February. So, but I think it will come. What I want to know is, are they going to keep it going and bring us N64 online and GameCube online and things like that? the real dream, so it can go along with your second vault, Greg, and we can be playing Wave Race Blue Storm online as well. But I'm not going to say that. I secretly a little bit me thinks that is going to happen, but I think I'm kidding myself doing that. But in terms of how I feel about the online service and surprises and stuff like that, in all honesty, I don't. I'm worried that actually all we are going to get is these NES games and cloud saves, and everything else is going to be exactly the same. As a bare minimum, surely more games are going to use the app. Surely, you launch the app and then it says the games, and then there's an icon for Splatoon 2. Surely when they launch it, there's going to be icons for Splatoon 2 and Fortnite.
This is where my optimism is greater, and it's because I'm imagining this wonderful, fantastic app which is better integrated with the games. Each one's got its own channel, but then I'm expecting, they call it the online lounge at the moment, I'm expecting that to be the hub that you turn on, which is totally integrated with your Switch friends list. So you immediately, just by turning your app on, you can see who's online. You can message them. Hey Darren, do you want to come over here? Greg, look, me and Darren are playing ARMS. Come over to the ARMS part. You can message them, then set up appointments. So I can say, right, I'm not playing now, but in 4 hours time I'll be online. Who's online then? And you can make appointments with friends, set up tournaments, set up scheduling, link together with voice chat then when you go into the in-game app, the part of the app, like the Splatoon 2 one now. And part of me is like, oh, they could do such a good job with this, but will they?
It was funny you should say that. I've got this. I've said what I expect is not much and what I want, and that I've got that like scheduling, online score challenges, like almost like a board that everyone can see. And I could do like a high score on a time trial on Mario Kart or something, and everyone can see it, click it, and it takes you to Mario Kart and that track. And so, but will they? In terms of your question, probably not. I mean, they've got to have basic functionality because they've got the framework there already. That app is not a Splatoon 2 app; it's a Nintendo app. It's the Switch app. So there's got to be more games. So who knows the kind of extent. I mean, I also want sort of cloud pictures and videos. How amazing would it be? Sometimes I can't be bothered to kind of post on Twitter and Facebook from a Switch straight away. How amazing would it be if we can access all our photos and videos on our mobile phone app and post from our mobile phones instead? For the videos and pictures and stuff that we save. There's, like you said, Lee, there's so much potential in this app, which everyone kind of derides in a way, but rightly so when it comes to the voice chat aspect. But there's the potential of it being like a genuine companion piece of the Switch is staggering. So let's hope Nintendo do something like that. I want to see my whole library on there as well. I want to just see all my games, whether they've got a specific app or not. I want it to be. I want to see my playtime. I want the
all in one
activity
place. Yeah,
from the 3DS to come back and stuff. So it's got a lot of potential. They won't reach the potential we want. They never do. But let's just hope they take it a little bit further, And I guess another feature would be to give us an option to voice chat directly on the Switch itself, rather than having to use the app. Fortnite shows us we can do it very easily. So just bring that across the board. But so we're all pretty negative in some regard. We're not expecting loads, but there's a hell of a lot of potential there. But I will say I'm very excited about playing the NES games online. I am. I don't know why. Maybe I won't be when it comes to it. Maybe the reality of it will be a bit more disappointing. But we'll see. But like you said, in terms of your point, Lee, about streaming, surely not. I mean, I'd be gobsmacked if it's streaming only. I think you will download them, but it'll check very regularly how our accounts are doing, whether we're still able to play them.
I just had recurring nightmares that they're going to push it.
To almost like a test. And we'll see. But on one level, irrespective of the online or not, it's pretty cool that we're getting 20 games for not much, 20 quid a year. It's £1 a game, and they're going to release more throughout as well. So it's, in that level, it is a bargain. Whether how much interest they all have, it's still pretty cool that we're going to have Donkey Kong and Mario Bros. 3 and things like that. Not so much Ice Climbers, but whatever. But yeah, so we will see. But it'll be interesting to know what other people think as well. And I think it's worth. It sounds like between us we've got a lot of ideas. I think we should do a video on everything we want from Nintendo Online. Maybe we should do it before they announce it to see if we can see how close we are.
Yeah.
Or wait until they've done it after and then say, right, Nintendo, great, this is what you need to do now. But we'll decide that outside of the podcast. I'm just having a little bit of a team meeting on the podcast. Okay, good. So, thank you very much for the question. And finally, the topic of the week this week is, what do we want from the next Zelda? Very good, very good. So, Greg, what is it you want from the next Zelda? And what format do you want it on? Do you want it on the mobile, 3DS, or Switch?
I think I'll take Switch, please. I, like most people, pretty much everyone I'm sure, got Breath of the Wild with their Nintendo Switch on launch day, and it felt like the right game for me to play at the time, and I really enjoyed it. I liked the freedom of exploration.
I can hear a boat coming here.
I think you're going to steal my idea now, Greg.
I'm quitting this podcast.
But like, it's not my favourite Zelda title. Like, to be honest, I almost prefer like more linear sort of experiences. Like Skyward Sword is one of my favourite Zelda titles.
Wow.
A lot of people hate that one. Like, you see, when I played Skyward Sword, like, as soon as I finished it, I thought, is this my favourite Zelda? Like, has this dethroned Ocarina of Time? Has it dethroned Wind Waker? But like, almost every time I play a new Zelda title, it's like, that could be my favourite one. But when I played Breath of the Wild, I sort of knew, like, quite quickly, okay, this isn't going to be my favourite one. I think a large part of that was the dungeon design. Like, I prefer the more traditional dungeons that we've had over the years, and if we do, like, for the next Zelda, I kind of hope these bring some of those back. I didn't really like the shrines all over Breath of the Wild, like, you know, where you've got these wee, like, shining little areas where you have to go to and complete them all. I sort of always thought I prefer if those sorts of things were like almost like hidden in around like the landscape somewhere, like they weren't like this big beacon where you have to go to. It's like you just like stumble across these wee areas like naturally.
Did you not think that's what they were?
Well, in a way, but like it's like, oh, you can there's a shrine, I'm gonna go there, rather than like I'm just gonna run around this this piece of land. Oh, there's a wee cave I can go into, and it's like the cave is the shrine, but it's not like specifically labelled as such, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I mean, I got the same feeling going around Zelda, that I did just stumble upon shrines, but they were clearly shrines. But I did just wander around and go, oh, God, there's a shrine there, or oh, look. But they weren't embedded, they're clearly artificial within the landscape, and what you're saying is you prefer a more natural world where you go into caves or underwater and things like that.
Yeah, I'm risking sort of going towards like a Breath of the Wild sort of review here, so I'll sort of edge it more towards what I'd like to see in the next Zelda. I'd love to see like the traditional items come back, like the hook shot and the boomerang and stuff. I missed them in Breath of the Wild massively. But basically, I don't know, it probably takes Nintendo quite a while to make like a big new Zelda title.
Do you reckon?
So I half expect we'll sort of see like almost like a side sort of top-down game. I'm not really thinking about that. I'd rather have like, we have the whole big Breath of the Wild world there. I would love to see how that looks in, say, like 1,000 years time or 2,000 years time. We just have the exact same area, but like we see how it's transformed. Like there'll be new towns built, new areas to explore. So like you'll be running through it and you have your memories from Breath of the Wild, but you'll be seeing new things and how everything's transformed. Almost like obviously in N64 we had Majora's Mask, which used a lot of the assets of Ocarina of Time. So basically that sort of idea, but not in the structure of Majora's Mask, because that's probably one of my least favourite Zeldas, even though I did enjoy it. But I did, from that game, I did like the way everybody had like a routine and everybody did stuff at certain times of the day.
Yeah,
so I'd love to see this big world in like Breath of the Wild in, say, like 2,000 years time with like new technology and stuff, but where like things have like a consequence. Because if you're going to save the world and you decide, oh, I want to take a wee hour off and go fishing here, like that's always seemed really silly to me. So I'd like a consequence of that, like there is this structure of like things happen at a certain time, but if you want to waste your time going fishing or play some sort of other game, this thing's gonna happen. So like maybe you can't do something that you could previously have done. Like maybe I can't get that heart container because I was goofing off doing something else. But yeah, that's basically what I want. Like a Breath of the Wild, 2,000 years ahead.
But with traditional
Proper
dungeons and weapons.
Traditional, yeah.
I was expecting them to, with the DLC, to have some more traditional dungeons in Breath of the Wild, just to, say, oh, the DLC is coming, and I thought we'd have just at least one big dungeon, but no, it never happened. Maybe make the Breath of the Wild map smaller and add more traditional dungeons. But that's not mine.
Why would you need to shrink it?
Because it's too big. Not that I thought it was too big. It was a marvellous game. Yeah, I loved it. It is my favourite Zelda, very closely tied with Link to the Past, which is the way I'm going. Because I've put so much time into Breath of the Wild that I don't think I'm ready for another open world Zelda game. So I'm gonna go for a kind of Four Swords type game. Top down 2D Zelda. Built for online drop-in, drop-out play, massive RPG item collection like Monster Hunter. Get your materials, build, craft better items, go into new dungeons, harder dungeons. Lots of co-op play, but also the ability to do it in single player to upgrade your equipment and everything. And why stop with 4 players? Let's have some more. Let's have 8, 10, 12. Let's just throw them all in there. So that's mine.
Okay, cool. So basically, you want Triforce Heroes 2, and Greg hates Breath of the Wild and Majora's Mask. Summarising. I'm only kidding.
You see, whenever you mentioned the Link to the Past, like I kind of groan because I'm not that keen on it either.
Great.
Or Four Swords.
Skyward Sword or nothing. Skyward Sword 2 or nothing for Greg. I like Skyward Sword 2. I thought it was amazing. I didn't quite get the issues with it, and I thought the motion controls are good. I'm with you there, to be honest. Yeah, I'll take both of those. I think we could probably get them, basically. I think, in terms of what I want, I love Breath of the Wild. It's definitely my favourite Zelda. It's possibly my favourite game of all time. I need a few more years to mull over that one. And I just want more of the same. So in a weird way, I kind of want the same as you, Greg. I just want another one. And the only way we can get another one quickly is to have another one set in roughly the same world, definitely using the same engine, to have the Majora's Mask style sequel. And that's what I want. I think a lot of the complaints of Breath of the Wild are that people do miss the dungeons, and maybe the weapon system as well. The breakable weapons a lot of people didn't like, and they do maybe miss that. So in a weird way, I sort of expect that the next 3D Zelda will be pretty much a sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it will have traditional dungeons, and it maybe will change that. So I think you're probably going to get exactly what you want. Maybe not the 1,000 years into the future, that's very specific, but I think we're going to get a sequel. So I can't wait for that day. But then I also believe that actually maybe the next game we get probably will be a 2D Zelda, and whether that is a traditional adventure or a multiplayer one. But after Triforce Heroes, I just don't think they'll go down the multiplayer route. But then
the Switch Online is coming.
Yeah,
It could be a game to tie in with it.
So I think you both could be right. Next game could be Lee's, and then a year after that, a couple of years after that, could be Greg's, and I will love both of them. But I guess the only thing I could add is, as I seem to every week, is maybe the Zelda game that I'd like to see is a Battle Royale Zelda game. Set in the Breath of the Wild universe. You got 100 links all plonked in that massive world, and you've got to scavenge and cook food and get your weapons, and you've got to kill everybody else. I don't think Nintendo would do that, but I think that would be pretty awesome. So we'll see what happens with the Zelda franchise. But I imagine we'll hear about this next year. Do you agree? Do you think next year's the year we'll hear about it?
The Four Swords type game we could hear in the next Nintendo Direct, ready for the online service. I'm very doubtful, of course, but why not? Let's be optimistic.
Last week you said they're going to stealth drop Star Fox Grand Prix. This week you're going to stealth drop a brand new Zelda in September. That'd be amazing. I don't know what's more bold, those two, or the fully kitted out Labo F1 car. Don't know which one's gonna happen. Yeah. So it sounds good. Zelda. I love Zelda. I still need to play the DLC. I've not touched it. Any of them.
I haven't even bought the DLC.
Balloon World either. Have you played it, Greg?
I haven't bought the Zelda DLC.
Insane. It was always my plan to do it over Christmas, to play Mario and Zelda over Christmas, the DLC for both, and I never did, and games just keep piling up. But maybe over the summer, because they're both definitely my top 10 games of all time. So I need to get back into it and stop playing silly games like Miles and Kilo or whatever. But awesome. So that is the end of the podcast. I think we may have just hit an hour, which is pretty good. So thank you again for listening. Thank you again, Greg and Lee, for joining me on this. And
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Review Podcast. You can find this very podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and TuneIn. Just search for the Nintendo Review Podcast. We are also on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where you'll find great content such as news, reviews, and streams. Of course, you'll also find us at nintendoreview.co.uk. And check out the Nintendo Review Discord channel for lively discussion, meetups, and in-game voice chat. Drop by and say hello.